Hello everyone. So we're here to discuss some new features to our Godot integration plugin for FEAGI. If you do not already know, FEAGI is an open source platform for human neuronal simulation for robots. But through this Godot plugin, we can have FEAGI take control of games as well. So, for example purposes, we're going to actually be making use of an existing game. I will link it in the description, and we're going to be using this FPS template for Godot 4. So, give it a download, open it in Godot 4.3, and you can give it a quick play to make sure it works. As you can see, this is a rather standard FPS template game. You move with WASD, look around with the mouse. Pretty standard. So let's now get to integrating. Like before, you can find our plugin straight from the Godot asset library simply by searching for FEAGI. And here you can just click download and it will install itself. In my case, I'm actually going to cut the video ahead to after it's finished downloading and after I restarted the editor as well. Now with the plugin installed, let's just quickly make sure that it is in fact enabled. You can double check in project settings under the plugin tab and just make sure that the plugin here is enabled. Alright, so with the plugin enabled, now we have access to a new menu item under Tools and the FEAGI Configurator. And this might look familiar to some previous users of our plugin, even though we did clean up the UI a little bit. So the first tab is actually where you can configure connections to FEAGI and other general settings. So you can connect to a custom self-hosted version of FEAGI if you wish, but in our case we're actually going to be making use of New Robotics Studio, our cloud hosted solution for users to try. So let's open that back up. And here you can grab the magic link in which you can use to connect to it. Log in, and here we're going to disable device debugging. Device debugging allows us to see the data in-game, however it can be a little bit intensive, so since we're not debugging right now, we're going to disable it. So for our sensors, right now we only need one thing, and that's for FEAGI to be able to see our actual screen. So let's add a camera, and in our case we're actually going to just select the automatic screen grabber option such that we automatically set up a screen grabber for the whole screen so FEAGI can just see everything rather than us having to do the work manually ourselves. For the motor, we need to add WASD and jump controls. For that, let's add a motion control, a FEAGI device type that's meant for controlling various aspects of general agent movement. While we can configure this device in Godot code, we can make use instead of input emulation to have FEAGI control game inputs directly. So this is the part that will look a little bit different than for people who have used our plugins before, in which case back then you could only make use of Godot input events. Now we are a lot more flexible. So we can now emulate different types of inputs. So let's actually first get to having it go forward and back, which you can find here for translate forward, translate backward. Let's use these ones for moving forward and backward. And instead of using a Godot input event, we can now emulate keyboards and other things directly. So in this case, for moving forward, let's just have it push W. For moving backward, so push S. And for left and right, we are going to do A and D. A. And D. Okay. So we can also emulate mouse movement, which you actually have for the motion control, a pre-made section for that. So for under first person camera rotation, we're just going to emulate mouse movement, and we're just going to leave it here with the default settings. So basically what this does is it actually takes some of the different directions that are given in the data for motion control and converts it into a vector which can then be used for controlling mouse deltas. All inside the plugin, so you don't have to handle that yourself. So with that enabled, let's save the configuration. And also there is a new feature as well called input sequences. This allows you to define sequences of inputs, like let's say here, pushing enter. This is pretty useful if you have menus or other things, UI elements to navigate through that you don't want FEAGI to deal with. But since the game has no menus, we're not going to make use of it. But if your game does have it, these sequences and having them start automatically is a great way just to bypass main menus and allow FEAGI to play the game right away. So we'll clear that, save, and now if everything's saved, let's just give the game a play. Okay, so you can see in the logs that the plugin initialization is complete. If we check here the Godot game for a second, you can see it has now actually loaded the sensory and motor data for the game. So let's just bring this to the side a bit. Okay, so I am currently moving around, but it has moved the game window. But you're able to see it was able to, in fact, see the movement of the camera in here. So everything is working. With that, we hope that you have a good introduction for using our plugin's built-in features. Quite a bit more is possible if you want to dig into GD script, but already with basic setup we can do quite a lot. So thank you, and have a lot of fun with FEAGI. Bye!